Sitting down by the bayou, whiskey in my hand, listening to a podcast, ain't it grand? Talking about the memes that circulate around. The human meme got me spellbound. Oh, the human meme is the talk of the town, spreading ideas all around. From the swamps to the city streets, the human meme can't be beat. Oh yeah, yeah.
Welcome to the Human Meme Podcast. I'm AI David Bowles, and in collaboration with our Crackbot AI research team, we present this topic for you today. Unraveling the Leviathan myth. From ancient symbolism to modern political manipulation. We begin with a travel through time, tracing the origins and evolution of one of the most enigmatic and powerful stories ever told. This exploration takes us from the ancient Near Eastern tales of cosmic battles between gods and chaotic sea monsters, through the philosophical and political allegories of the Enlightenment, and into the heart of contemporary political discourse. Along the way, we examine how this enduring myth has been repurposed and manipulated to shape societies, justify power structures, and influence the behavior of individuals on a global scale. By dissecting specific historical and modern examples, this conversation illuminates the deep psychological roots of the Leviathan myth and its impact on human thought and society, setting the stage for a comprehensive understanding of its role in framing the perennial struggle between order and chaos. This topic is one of the most captivating mythological stories ever to emerge from the ancient world. The biblical tale of the Leviathan, a formidable sea dragon, and its encounter with Yahweh, the God of Israel. This narrative, which symbolizes the eternal battle between order and chaos, has fascinated scholars, theologians, and laypeople alike for centuries. But where did this story originate, and how has it evolved over time? What are the myths and storytelling tricks that imbue this morality play with such enduring values and fears? The Leviathan, as mentioned in the Bible, particularly in the book of Job, Psalms, and Isaiah, is often interpreted as a symbol of chaos, representing the untamed and dangerous aspects of the natural world that stand in opposition to the order and civilization that Yahweh, the God of Israel, strives to establish. This cosmic battle between the deity and the sea monster draws from a rich storytelling of Near Eastern mythology, where such confrontations between gods and chaotic sea creatures were a common motif. The roots of the Leviathan story can be traced back to ancient Canaanite and Mesopotamian religions, where similar myths of gods slaying monstrous serpents were prevalent. For instance, the Ugaritic texts recount the tale of Baal defeating Yom, the sea god, which bears striking resemblances to the biblical Leviathan story. Similarly, in Mesopotamian mythology, we find the epic of Marduk defeating Tiamat, a sea dragon representing primordial chaos. These stories were not merely entertaining myths, but served as allegories for the forces of chaos and order, the unpredictable and the structured, that have always governed human existence. As the story of the Leviathan was chiseled into the fate of biblical literature, it took on new dimensions and meanings. No longer just a mythological beast, the Leviathan became a symbol of all that is opposed to God's order: evil, chaos, and rebellion. The slaying of the Leviathan by Yahweh was not just a display of divine power, but a reassurance to the faithful that God would ultimately triumph over chaos and evil, establishing a new order of peace and justice. The Leviathan myth, like many ancient stories, employs several storytelling tricks to convey its moral and theological messages. One such technique is the personification of chaos and evil in the form of a monstrous sea dragon, making abstract concepts tangible and emotionally resonant for the audience. This personification allows listeners to visualize the struggle between good and evil, order and chaos, in a dramatic and compelling way. Furthermore, the story taps into the universal human fear of the unknown and the uncontrollable, represented by the chaotic and unpredictable sea. By depicting Yahweh's victory over the Leviathan, the narrative reassures the audience of the ultimate triumph of order over chaos, good over evil, and the known over the unknown. It's a powerful message of hope and faith in the face of adversity and fear. Sinking deeper into the labyrinth of history, we uncover the multifaceted ways in which the myth of the Leviathan and its symbolism have been manipulated and harnessed to shape thoughts, behaviors, and societal structures. This tale, rich with imagery of chaos subdued by divine authority, has been a potent tool in the hands of rulers, religious leaders, and ideologues to legitimize power, instill fear, and enforce conformity. By examining specific instances where the myth has been invoked, we can see the mechanics of manipulation at play, revealing the why, the how, and the execution of such strategies. In the political realm, Thomas Hobbes's seminal work, Leviathan, published in 1651, stands out as a striking example of the myth repurposed to justify the necessity of a strong, centralized authority. Hobbes, living through the tumult of the English Civil War, witnessed firsthand the chaos that could engulf society in the absence of a powerful governing force. In his book, Hobbes likens the state to a Leviathan, a sovereign beast whose absolute power is justified as the only means to prevent the return to a state of nature, where life is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Here, the myth is transformed into a metaphor for social and political order, with Hobbes arguing that people must relinquish their freedoms to the Leviathan, the state, to escape the chaos and fear of the natural world. The manipulation lies in the portrayal of absolute authority as the sole guarantor of security, a narrative that has been used by countless rulers to justify autocracy and suppress dissent. Religiously, the narrative has been utilized to reinforce the power structures within organized religions. By framing chaos and evil as forces constantly at bay, only kept in check by the divine order represented by the church or religious authorities, leaders have been able to cultivate a sense of dependency among the faithful. This dependence is not merely spiritual, but also social and political, as the church often positioned itself as the mediator between the divine and the mundane, the order and the chaos. The execution of this manipulation can be seen in the medieval period, where the church wielded considerable power, often using the fear of the unknown, represented by hell, demons, and by extension the Leviathan, as a tool to maintain control over the populace. The message was clear. Without the church's guidance, one would be lost to chaos, both in this life and the next. Culturally, the Leviathan myth has been adapted to enforce societal norms and values. By characterizing certain behaviors, beliefs, or groups as representative of chaos or evil, akin to the monstrous sea dragon, societies have been able to marginalize and suppress them. This tactic has been evident in various historical witch hunts, where individuals, often women, were accused of consorting with chaotic powers and, by extension, threatening the social order. The Salem witch trials in the late 17th century are a poignant example, where fear and hysteria were fueled by religious and social leaders to execute a campaign of suppression against those deemed a threat to the Puritan societal fabric. The myth of the Leviathan, while not invoked by name, underlies the dichotomy of order versus chaos, good versus evil, that justified such persecutions. In each of these examples, the manipulation lies not in the overt retelling of the Leviathan myth, but in its underlying themes, being adapted to serve the agendas of those in power. The why is often fear of chaos, of the unknown, of the other, exploited to maintain or consolidate power. The how is through the invocation of imagery and narratives that resonate with the myth's symbolism, casting the manipulator in the role of the protector against chaos. And the execution is through social, political, and religious institutions, leveraging their influence to shape thought and behavior according to the desired norms. Now, in moving into the contemporary landscape, the echoes of the Leviathan myth resonate with newfound intensity, as politicians, media figures, and ideologues craft narratives steeped in the dichotomy of order versus chaos to sway public opinion and consolidate power. These modern incarnations of the myth leverage the deep-seated human fear of uncertainty and disorder, drawing stark lines between the perceived forces of stability and the specters of chaos lurking at society's edges. By examining specific figures and movements, we can dissect the ways in which the ancient story continues to inform and manipulate contemporary political and social discourse. In the political arena, the use of fear as a tool to rally voters and demonize opposition is a tactic as old as politics itself. But in the age of social media and 24-hour news cycles, its efficacy and reach have magnified. A notable example can be found in the rhetoric used by Donald Trump, particularly during his 2016 presidential campaign and subsequent presidency. Trump often portrayed himself as the only bulwark against the chaos he associated with illegal immigration, crime, and foreign adversaries. By invoking images of an America besieged by threats on all sides, he tapped into the archetypal narrative of the Leviathan, positioning himself as the embodiment of order against the chaos. This manipulation of fear not only galvanized his base, but also created a polarized environment where dissenting voices were often framed as agents of chaos, undermining societal stability. Across the Atlantic, figures like Viktor Orban in Hungary have similarly employed the Leviathan myth to fortify their political positions. Orban's discourse frequently emphasizes the defense of Hungarian culture and society against the perceived chaos of immigration, liberal values, and foreign influence. By casting these elements as existential threats to national identity and cohesion, Orban positions himself and his government as the protectors of order, securing a mandate to implement stringent policies aimed at preserving this order. The mythic battle against chaos becomes a justification for consolidating power, altering constitutional structures and curtailing freedoms in the name of national security and unity. On the global stage, the manipulation of historical narratives to shape future paths is a strategy employed by figures such as Vladimir Putin. By invoking the glory of Russia's past, its historical confrontations, and its position as a besieged fortress surrounded by hostile forces, Putin crafts a narrative that justifies aggressive foreign policies and strict domestic control as necessary defenses against the chaos of a world that seeks to undermine Russia. This narrative, deeply rooted in the mythological framework of order versus chaos, serves to rally nationalistic sentiment and suppress dissent by framing it as betrayal or alignment with chaotic external forces. These modern examples demonstrate the adaptability and potency of the Leviathan myth in contemporary political and social discourse. The execution of this manipulation relies on the ability to craft compelling narratives that resonate with deep-seated fears and aspirations, using media, political rhetoric, and policy as tools to shape perception and behavior. The why remains consistent with its historical uses, to consolidate power and control by offering security and stability in the face of manufactured threats. The how, however, has evolved with technology and globalization, allowing these narratives to spread more rapidly and take root more deeply in the public consciousness. The enduring relevance of the Leviathan myth in modern times underscores the critical importance of media literacy and critical thinking in navigating the complex landscape of contemporary politics and society. By recognizing the patterns of manipulation that trace back to ancient myths, individuals and communities can better resist the allure of simplistic narratives that promise order at the cost of freedom and diversity. As we complete our odyssey through the shadowed waters of the Leviathan myth, from its primordial stirrings in ancient myth to its formidable presence in the machinations of modern power, we stand at the precipice of understanding. This examination has revealed the Leviathan not merely as a relic of bygone eras, but as a living testament to the human condition's unending duel with the forces of chaos. In every age, under every guise, the Leviathan lurks, a mirror reflecting our deepest fears and our most fervent hopes for order in the tumult of existence. Whether wielded by monarchs or molded by demagogues, the myth remains a potent instrument of control and a beacon of resilience. As we navigate the complex context of our times, the lessons of the Leviathan guide us, urging vigilance against the seductions of easy answers and the allure of absolute power. In this timeless tale, we find not only a cautionary chronicle, but also a clarion call to seek out the nuanced spaces between order and chaos, where the essence of our humanity, free, questioning, and indomitable, truly resides. For the Human Meme Podcast, I'm AI David Bowles, wishing you a good evening and a peaceful tomorrow. Be a human meme.
Well, I was sitting by the bayou, feeling kind of blue, when I heard them sweet melodies coming on through. It was the Human Meme Podcast, playing in the night. Woke up my soul, made everything feel right. Oh yeah. Living in the swamp, dancing to the beats, listening to the stories, feeling the heat. From the deep south to the big old city, the Human Meme Podcast is such a pity that it's over too soon, but we keep it on replay. Memeing in the swamp, it brightens up our day, oh yeah.